battle for the Zulu Royal throne is far from over as Prince Simakade heads to the North Gauteng High Court. He wants the government decision to recognize his brother, King AmaZulu Royal, as king declared invalid, as well as set aside. Now, Prince Simakade claims that he's the rightful heir to the throne as the firstborn son to the late King Zwelithini. The battle has been ongoing publicly, and our senior reporter Siphamandla Goge joins us for more on this. Siphamandla, I mean, if you are in court around this issue still, it's just a clear indication that the battle for the royal Zulu throne hasn't ended yet, at least in as far as Prince Simakade is concerned. Take us through what's expected today.
In fact, it is just starting. It's going to be a long legal battle. Some people, I'm talking about historians, cultural experts, as well as lawyers and legal experts, they predict that it will very well end up in the highest court in the land, and that is the Constitutional Court. I will be very brief and summarize it for you because Judge Norman Davis is about to enter this courtroom again. We were given a very short break, so in 2 minutes' time, he's expected to be back here. This is what is happening. Prince Simakade, who is the late king's firstborn son, argues that by affiliation and on the virtue of him being the firstborn son to the late king, he's the rightful heir to the throne. He says a certain cultural practice was performed, known as ukufakwa eswini, or to the late Queen Regent Mantfombi, who was regarded as the great wife. Queen Mantfombi Zulu was of royal blood from the Eswatini kingdom, married to King Zwelithini, so therefore she was in a way regarded as the great wife. Prince Simakade argues that King Zwelithini performed a certain cultural practice of recognizing him, bringing him back to the royal family fold, and then taking him and introducing him, assigning him to the late Queen Regent Mantfombi. Or by doing that, according to Prince Simakade's heads of arguments and his papers in court, the king was simply saying he recognizes him as the firstborn son, hence he assigned him to the late queen. So in a way, as the rightful heir to the throne, according to him, being the firstborn and being assigned and affiliated to the great wife, he deserves to become the king of AmaZulu. He seeks a relief when it comes to 3 points of contention here. He is contesting the president's decision to recognize King AmaZulu Royal. He wants that set aside, declared invalid and unconstitutional, simply because he says processes leading up to that nomination and that recognition were not followed properly. But number 2 is contesting the meeting of the 14th of May that was in 2021, which basically nominated the then Prince AmaZulu, who later became King AmaZulu. He says that meeting was not convened properly because some members of the royal family were not part of that meeting. So therefore he wants that meeting to be declared as a meeting that was not properly convened. But most importantly, he wants the court to set aside a decision by the President of the Republic and the government of South Africa of recognizing King AmaZulu and giving him a certificate of recognition, which led to the coronation ceremony that took place at the Moses Mabhida Stadium in Durban somewhere in, I think it must have been August 28 last year, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what he wants. He is seeking relief on the basis of those 3 main points. He says he's the rightful heir to the throne, the meeting that nominated King AmaZulu was not properly convened, and that the recognition by the President and the government of South Africa must be declared invalid. My colleague here, Joe Komane, will show you visuals of what is happening in court as we see members of the royal family, senior princes and princesses, they are taking their positions in court. This side is the one that supports King AmaZulu Zwelithini. We have seen a very disturbing picture here in court whereby both sides are being separated by the police. In fact, I see that's the king's spokesperson there, that is Prince Africa. Let me see if I'll be able just to walk across here. I see Prince Africa Zulu speaks for AmaZulu King. We are live. Let's get the king's reaction on this court case very briefly before the judge walks in.
The king is still very confident that there is nothing new that's going to happen. You know, it's history as always that we're expecting. We're expecting because we know the law, we know the customary law, and the processes are on our side.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. That is Prince Africa Zulu. He speaks on behalf of King Misuzulu Kazwelithini. On the other side are members of the royal family that support Prince Simakade. I will have to leave it here now as you see members standing because Judge Norman Davis is walking in.
All right, well, Siphamandla Goge, as we can see, definitely they all have risen in court as those proceedings in the North Gauteng Court are expected to begin right now. And it seems it's still a long way of a battle that is still ongoing. You can see a clear indication of a separation, as Siphamandla alluded to. One side supporting Prince Simakade and the other side supporting Prince Misuzulu, or rather King Misuzulu Kazwelithini, my apologies. And because he says the police decided to have that separation, and still brothers, of course, by blood, but vying, of course, for that position. In this instance, it's Prince Simakade who's saying that he wants to, of course, declare that decision by President Cyril Ramaphosa, declaring King Misuzulu as the king of the AmaZulu kingdom as invalid. And with Siphamandla Goge for us, of course, in court, we'll be sure to give you those updates in terms of what happens in court today.